Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to talk to you about passion. There's a lot of stuff nowadays out there about kind of how to find your passion and how to follow your passion to lead a rewarding and fulfilling life. And for most people, a lot of people, it's like, well, how do I find my passion? How do I identify what my passion is? And I'm going to talk about that in today's episode. So if this is something that interests you, stick around. So passion, what is it? What is it and how do you find it? It's one of those things that everybody is talking about and everybody knows. It would be ideal if you could follow your passion and ideally even make a living doing what you're passionate about. But how do you identify what that passion is and what makes something a passion as opposed to just a pastime or a hobby? Well, I thought a lot about that this weekend, and it's kind of a funny correlation of why. So I'm a member at a golf club. My wife Diane and I are members at Whiteville Golf Club, and this past weekend, the long weekend, was our club championships. And so Diane and I played in it for the first time. Now, any of you who know anything about golf, this is a handicapped event. So there are 4 different flights or groupings for the men. There's the championship flight, which is straight up stroke play. And then there's the A, B, and C levels depending on your handicap. Well, I am at the lowest level. I have a high handicap. I have a 23 handicap. But because these tournaments are based on your handicap, everybody goes out and competes at basically the same level within your group. Now, golf for me is a hobby. It's not a passion of mine. It's a hobby. But hobbies can sometimes become passions depending on what you do with them. So I watched a keynote recently with Tom Bilyeu at the Meltdown Conference. And if this stuff kind of interests you and you want to get into it in great depth, I really recommend that you watch this keynote on YouTube. But his definition of passion, which I agree with, is interest over time plus mastery and the desire to master whatever it is. And that totally defines my relationship with art. I have had a keen interest in art from my earliest memories, even when I was a little kid, just seeing shows about artists or just seeing paint in the hobby store. It was just something I was drawn to. I wanted to be involved in it. I knew I liked it, even before I'd ever even picked up a paintbrush and painted. And then over time, over my entire life, that interest has continued to grow along with the desire to master every aspect of it. And so that's one of those things that defines passion, is that huge burning desire to master that thing, by which I mean becoming knowledgeable about every aspect of it. Just becoming ravenous in terms of consuming all you can to gain more knowledge and to gain more skill and then to put that into action. And so that's what a passion is. But it only develops over time. I didn't have a passion for art just when I was drawing and doodling and sketching as a kid. And even for the first 12 or 13 years when I was on the police force, I didn't have a passion for art. It was something I did kind of as a hobby. I was not really invested in learning an awful lot more than I already knew. I wasn't invested in getting better. It was something I just kind of put on the shelf as a hobby. And then when I read that article by Harley Brown where he said, you can achieve anything you want as an artist, it's just about hard work. That came right at the same time that I had lost a good friend who was murdered on the police force, which really made me confront my own mortality and that, I might not have 30 years after retirement to pursue my interest in art, that if it was something I was really interested in doing, I better get started now. And as I got more and more into reading, so I was subscribing to like 5 different magazines a month. I was buying lots of books about art. When they started coming out, the VHS tapes by artists where they were doing demos, I started buying those and watching those and just trying to absorb as much information as I could, and then put that into practice to improve my skills. And as I got better and better and better, and I started to approach mastering certain of these components, then I became more passionate about it. Until now, there's no doubt I'm passionate about art, and I've also since become passionate about teaching and sharing everything I know about what it takes to create a life around art. So back to golf, because I was thinking about that, like how do you define that whole passion thing, and what's the difference between something that's a passion and a pastime? And golf is a perfect example for me to kind of describe that, because for me, I prided myself for many years on being able to go out and enjoy playing bad golf. I've played golf my whole life. I've put a minimal amount into actually improving. I have had some lessons in the past and would practice occasionally, but for the most part, I would just show up at the golf course with my clubs, maybe warm up and go out and play. Whatever I shot, which explains why I'm at the lowest level at the club that I belong to. And I also think a lot of people paint like that. And I actually know some for sure. There's a member of the East Central Ontario Art Association, a fellow that I've become friends with, and he actually came right out and said, he said, I don't care if I get any better. I just love coming out with the group of people and pushing paint around. And you know, if I get better, I get better. If I don't really care. I just enjoy doing it. And I totally kind of could feel that, because that's how I felt about golf. I don't care about getting better, or I didn't care about getting better. But lately something has happened for me that's kind of made me be more interested in getting better. So because we're members at this course, and we just upgraded this year to a membership that allows us to play weekends, we're playing more golf. Now for me, that usually means after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because this is still number one priority to follow my passion, but golf is a pastime that I'm interested in. And as we're playing more and more, and we're entering more events, it's becoming a little more important to me that I play better. I'm becoming less and less happy with playing bad golf. And so I have kind of two options. It's kind of play less golf and just not put myself in that position, or it's putting into practice the stuff I talk about improving your art to improving my golf. And so I've decided that's what I'm going to do. So for the past month, I've been taking lessons about every week and a half with our pro, and I've been playing less golf, and I've been practicing more and doing the specific drills that he's giving me to improve my swing, improve my chipping, all of these kinds of things. And that's actually manifested itself in me hitting the ball better. So I actually, this year, I was able to make the cut to Monday, and played above my head Saturday, Sunday. Monday, the train came off the tracks, and I still ended up finishing probably in the bottom third. But I've kind of decided now that, okay, I'm going to invest the time and effort and the money for lessons to get better until I'm happy. But even then, you have to make a decision about, well, what will make me happy? And when does a pastime just become a little more serious, and when does it become a passion? So golf is not a passion of mine. And I seriously doubt it will ever become a passion of mine, because again, for something to really be considered a passion, you have to be shooting for mastery, to absolutely become the best that you can possibly be at it. And I don't care about that for golf. I'd like to play better, so I have a 23 handicap. Now that means on every hole, I usually shoot at least one above what's par, and on average, at least 5 holes, I'll have 2 above what's par. So I would like to get my handicap down to maybe 15 or 16, where, you know, I average maybe 5 or 6 pars around, and the rest I just shoot bogeys, which is 1 over. And I've played at that level of the odd time. I've had a round like that where I've shot in the 80s, and it's a lot more enjoyable than shooting 100 or 100 and something. So I'm going to invest the time and effort to get to the point where I can play at that level. And I'm 99% confident that will be enough for me, because you also have to think in terms of what will it require of me to achieve what I want. Now, I would love to be able to go out and play par golf, but that would require me probably to practice 4 hours a day, 6 days a week for the next 5 years. And I don't want to get that good that bad. And the reason that I'm kind of talking about this is I think for a lot of people too, this whole kind of mentality could be helpful when they think in terms of what do you want out of art? Is this a pastime? In which case, if like my friend from the ECOAA, all you want to do is push paint around and enjoy the process and you don't care about the results and you're not willing to invest the time, effort, and money over time to master it, then that's fine. But then what you just need to do is have your expectations in line with your ambitions. And if, on the other hand, that art is something that you want to make a life and career out of, well, then you need to understand that this is something that you need to maintain a sustained interest over time, over your lifetime, with your goal being to absolutely master every aspect of it. And once you've done that, then you have the ability to put creativity in motion and achieve great things. But before you start thinking about what you'd like to achieve, you have to start thinking about what are you willing to put into it and make those two things mesh. So again, passion is not something you find. It doesn't just kind of strike you in the head and say, oh, this is my passion. It's something that you have a natural interest in that you pursue over time. And if it is something that you just become more and more interested in the further you pursue it, and something that you eventually reach the point where you say, I am willing to do whatever it takes to master this, well, at that point you can say you've developed your interest into a passion. And if you can do that, that certainly makes life more fulfilling. And it doesn't have to be as a job. There are a number of people at the club that I belong to that are passionate about golf. They have their day jobs that they do, but the rest of their time, they are just focused on improving their golf game because they love it. They love everything about it. They love being out there. I'm not that guy. I like golfing. I even felt yesterday on day 3 of playing 3 days in a row, and I wasn't playing very well. I actually thought, you know what, I would rather be in my studio right now than out here on the golf course. So that's a pretty clear indication that I'm not passionate about golf. Now, there may come a time in my life, way down the road when I'm retired, no longer worried about working or doing anything else, where then it becomes a real focus to get as good as I can be at golf. I don't think so, but who knows? So anyways, that's my thoughts on whether something is a passion or a pastime. And again, it can change. A pastime, painting was a pastime for me for the first 10 or 15 years that I was on the police force. And then it gradually became my passion. But you have to put in the hard work. You have to sustain that interest over time and shoot towards mastering everything about it for it to really become a passion. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I really recommend you watch the keynote by Tom Bilyeu. I'll put the URL in the link if you're really interested in hearing more in depth on this. And as always, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Share this with your friends, and I welcome your comments and questions. I'm Tim Packer, and I thank you for your time.